So I think that the mandate for CBC is to have a well-informed citizenry that's equipped to participate in a democracy, not as consumers, but as participants.
Making them empowered agents of activity, of change in their communities, highlight local stories and do so in both official languages.
Look at what has to be covered in terms of the scope historically, the language differences, and also multicultural in nature. We're trying to do a lot with less, and it's just not possible. We've hit the point now where there's been a critical mass of cuts to the CBC, which will make it impossible to do all the things we're asking it to do.
Well, I don't think it's a secret that Stephen Harper doesn't like the CBC. I mean, it's part of his ideology is to prefer the private over the public.
And anytime we ask a question about CBC funding, the hoots and hollers from the backbenches shows that a lot of this is about conservative reaction against CBC.
And what we're seeing right now is a government that is cutting the CBC because it wants to. It likes doing this. It doesn't like the CBC, and it is unabashed in telling people that it doesn't like the CBC and fundraising on the back of the CBC.
All of us have to understand that this vital institution that helps us tell our own stories, to relay all the information about who we are and the future of this great country, depends on our ability to have a public broadcaster, and that future is in danger with the most recent cuts.
One of the things that we have engaged ourselves as a party is if we form government, we will reverse those cuts. $
115 million put back over a 3-year cycle and provide predictable funding, stable funding, over several year period at a time so that there can be proper planning. That's also about good management, and something that's becoming increasingly difficult because CBC never knows from one year to the next how much is going to be there.
Our position is that restoring what was cut isn't enough. The $115 million that was cut must be restored, but our platform in 2011 called for $100 million next year, $150 million the year after that, $200 million after that. So $450 million additional just to get CBC back to where you don't have the feeling it's being starved to death.
We need to be investing in things that are going to continue to keep us on the right path, keep us growing, keep us celebrating our strengths. And that means giving CBC the tools it needs to do its job.
We need solid information. We need unbiased, impartial, independent sources of information that are immune from political pressure.
The further we can remove the funding for an institution like the CBC from day-to-day political, angst or decisions, the better we'll be as a country.
The strongest guarantee against political interference is a strong, willful, competent board of directors. If you put in a bunch of bagmen and party hacks from your political formation, and they're just there to attend meetings and do your will, they're not going to be able to stand up to anything, will they?
That the board isn't speaking out against these cuts, that they're sort of accepting of it, well, it really reinforces that 9 out of 11 board members were Conservative Party donors, which for me is unacceptable.
But we'd like to see a committee that's appointed that has real expertise in the cultural industry. So it would also appoint the board of Telefilm Canada, also appoint National Film Board, also appoint Canada Council of the Arts, and appoint the board of CBC, with the goal of making sure you have people of real competence.
It is a top-of-mind issue right now. Across the country, from coast to coast to coast, people are talking to us about it.
Because it's critical to so many Canadians. I hear from, I receive literally thousands of names on petitions. I presented one yesterday in the House of Commons, 530 names, Save the CBC, Protect the CBC.
One of the things that I hear right across the country is how important it is for us that we have access to strong information that speaks truth to power, a properly funded CBC that puts out the investigative journalism, the strong news that holds our governments to account.
And I hear it everywhere. People are very worried about the future of the CBC. They really love their public broadcaster. They understand its importance, but we've got to get to the next level. So for example, as we're hitting the digital era where we're building new platforms, it's the worst time to be cutting back.
CBC will always be an important tool, an important means of drawing Canadians together and helping us dream big about the future.
But we really need CBC more than ever to speak to what's happening to us as a country and connect from coast to coast to coast in both languages across all time zones, reaching every region and relevant to every region. We need CBC more than ever.